MSIV launched in April of 2020. It was the height of the pandemic and we were building a community-based initiative without being able to convene the community. I was also seeking to raise our region's first ever regional venture capital fund without being able to look prospective investors in the eye and shake their hand. And where we really hit our stride was when the reopening happened and we were able to start meeting people face to face again. Raising our capital from the first 5 investors was very, very difficult. I came in without an existing track record of having returned a fund before. There had been no regional venture capital fund in the North Bay's history before, but once I was able to get through that and got our first few brave investors to take that plunge, that really set the tone to the point where we ended up raising $6.6 million from 62 unique investors, 92% of whom live here in Marin and Sonoma County. But to get to 62 investors, we had to meet with 663 prospective investors.
Zach's leadership style is really centered around building community. As a CEO, I learned a long time ago that it's really a lot less about strategy and metrics, and it's a lot more about bringing people together, creating an environment for them to be their very best.
One of the very important things that Zach has achieved is he's built this ecosystem. It's a startup ecosystem. We have over 60 investors. He's interviewed hundreds of startup companies here in the North Bay to come up with those 5 companies that he's now invested in. And he's put on events that have brought everyone together, both the startup companies, the investors, founders of successful startups, and other business leaders. And so it's almost a movement more than an organization at this point.
If you look at Marin and Sonoma County, we've always had all the elements here to have a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem. These are 2 of the most affluent counties in the entire country. We have some of the highest levels of intellectual capital anywhere on planet Earth residing in this community. We were just punching way below our weight class when it came to our ability to push forward economic development. And if we could come in, spend the time to build that trust, ultimately activate all the amazing people that are here, that's why we got to where we're going.
If you want to start a business in Marin, Sonoma County, you're going to go to MSIV now, and you're going to talk to them about they're going to introduce you to the other companies that are like you. They're going to talk to you about all the different things that it takes to do business in this county, and that does not exist outside MSIV. What MSIV and what Zach have done is instill in us the confidence that we can be successful in our backyard and we can stay in the place that we love and where we want to live.
We performed original research, and we looked last decade at the number of quality startup companies formed across Marin and Sonoma counties. We then pretended that was the hypothetical 51st U.S. state. When you compare that startup footprint just in these 2 counties to the other 50 U.S. states, last decade would have saw more quality startups created here than half of all U.S. states on an absolute basis, and on a per capita basis, Marin and Sonoma would have ranked 3rd in the U.S.
So one of the things that MSIV requires of the companies that we invest in is that they commit to stay in the North Bay and create jobs here. And that's one of the things that appealed to me about the movement and about the organization from the very, very beginning, because I thought that we were letting a lot of our startup companies maybe start and incubate here and then move out. Of course, it would help our business a little bit, but more for the community at large and to keep our capital here locally instead of having it go to San Francisco and the South Bay.
The core thing that the fund is doing is investing in these companies, but Zach's taken a completely different approach to it and really created a community and an ecosystem around what it takes to be successful as a business here, and I think that's going to be the legacy that he leaves in this county.
I think that the fund will be bigger in terms of the amount of money that the fund can deploy, and I think that we'll make bigger investments in startups, and I think that the startup community will come to MSIV first for their initial investment as time goes on, as opposed to coming to MSIV as maybe a 2nd or 3rd investor. And I think that's the future of the organization.
And my vision, candidly, is to have all the companies that we're helping now, have them be wildly successful, create hundreds of jobs here in this community. So 5-10 years from now, those companies are now playing a large role in helping seed the next generation of prosperity. They're playing a big role in our effort in helping that next generation of companies grow and thrive and prosper across the North Bay. Because if we can prove to all the affluent people across Marin and Sonoma County that you can invest in local startup companies, not just to feel good about your community, but also because it's a great investment, there is no telling to how big this effort can grow in the years ahead.